Hello and welcome back to the review crew. I'm Dylan.
And I'm Roman. On today's episode, we're going to review Prey. Gabe and Cam are going on the spot to review Predator.
Here's the trailer for Prey.
Why do you want to hunt? Because you all think that I can't. I saw a sign in the sky. I'm ready. Maui, Nita. There's something out there. I'm coming with you.
You can't.
I'm trying to protect you.
Protect me from what? It's time.
It knows how to hunt. I know how to survive. Whatever did this, I can kill it.
Okay, so Roman, I've honestly been scared to admit this ever since the release of Shane Black's The Predator, but Predator is one of my favorite film franchises probably of all time. It really hones back to that original '87 movie because that is one of my favorite movies, period. But I'm so finally happy to say there really is a good Predator sequel now.
Yeah, man, this is your time. This is your moment in the sun. You know, it's I guess it must have been a little stressful since that 2016 abomination being a Predator fan.
I mean, even so, we had Predators, Robert Rodriguez, way back when. Even that just did not do this franchise justice whatsoever.
No, I really didn't. And I mean, that's an unfortunate trend with action movies.
Yeah.
You know, amazing first movie, and then a lot of garbage tier sequels. Mm-hmm. But this is a pretty good one.
I mean, and it managed to just find it by going back to basics, being simple once again. It was just like, I feel like when they pitched this movie, they were like, put the Predator in the 1800s. Bam, movie. Like, it's awesome. Like, it's that concept right there alone. It's just like people with like primitive weapons fighting the Predator, you know?
And the concept is simple, and the plot is equally simple, and it really works. You know, it really takes everything that Predator fans and just action movie fans in general love about this sort of movie, and just capitalizes on that. It doesn't try to give you anything that you're not going to care about. It's not going to shoehorn a romance in there or anything like that, or, you know, add some unnecessary side plot. The things that happen in this movie all pertain to the battle between the Predator and the humans, and it's great. That's exactly what you want here.
And I mean, I think the saddest part about this movie is that it was just released on Hulu. Like, I really think this should have went to theaters.
Seriously.
More people should have saw this movie because it really is badass. It's a really cool movie.
I completely agree. You know, there was the sort of calculation made that, oh, this movie won't do really well in theaters. And now, you know, I can't really make that prediction accurately, but I think it probably would have done better than they would have expected, mostly because this movie's pretty damn
I really
good.
just think through word of mouth because everyone that I talked to really thought this movie was pretty damn cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to enjoy here, a lot to break down. There's some good performances in this movie, mostly, you know, from an action perspective, good physical performances, but Amber Midthunder is the main character here, and she is the best actor here by far, I think.
A great, you know, comparison to Arnold, which is like, you know, Arnold is this big, strong man in the first movie, but he's actually faced with a force that he doesn't even know how to fight. Naru, on the other case, wants to fight the Predator. She wants to prove herself as a hunter herself. I found that aspect of the movie to be like actually most interesting.
Yeah, that is a really cool thing that
Yeah.
this movie brings to the table, which is kind of as you were saying, most of these Predator movies, it's, you know, humans trying to survive the Predator.
Yeah.
This main character, she has something to prove. This is Predator versus Predator, basically.
Yeah.
And that is cool to watch. And it's cool to watch her transformation from someone who, you know, kind of has a chip on her shoulder. She has something to prove. She's maybe not that experienced with all this to like, you know, an elite hunter. And that is, it's legitimately cool to watch. And the character development works really well. And it works really well through just action, you know, through just
Honestly,
action
yeah,
alone.
this
You get
really
to
is
see
a
that.
story that is told through action. And speaking of the action, I mean, there are some sick action scenes in this movie. Some real, probably one of the best Predator action scenes maybe the best Predator action scene ever put to film.
I don't know which one specifically you're talking about, but if I had to guess.
If you've seen the movie, yeah.
If I had to guess, I'm not going to spoil a lot, but there's a scene where there's some French fur trappers and
You know.
traders, and they're fighting against the Predator, and this scene is awesome. I mean, you just get to see, like, especially if you're a Predator fan, you're going to love this because he goes through all his technology,
Yeah.
all his weapons, you know, all his physical
And
capabilities.
I love the aspect, too. There's so much attention to detail, clearly, because it's set in, you know, 1700s, 1800s. So all the Predator's tech is also pretty, not primitive, but not as, he doesn't have a plasma caster on his shoulder. You
Yeah.
know, like, he still has to work a little bit to get his kills. And I thought that, you know, that was cool, too. You know,
it was
and
very cool.
it is his first time on the planet, too. That's a bit of, like, that was the drawing of this movie. That's what they said it was going to be. And you see that. You see him, like, learning. He's, like, learning about the species. And then he finally, like, works his way up to humans, who he, you know, clearly is, like, the ultimate prey, which is, like,
Yeah.
you know, you see that line. You know, like, he starts with, like, a snake or something like that.
It's
Gets to a
it's so
bear.
cool to watch.
Yeah.
And I have to say, you know, I was a little worried when I heard, you know, this isn't a movie that is going to theaters. I was like, well, what's the budget here?
Yeah.
The effects look great.
Oh, yeah.
These are, I mean, in this franchise, but also just like in action movies in general, this is one of the best blends of practical effects and
100%.
CGI I've seen in a minute. I mean, everything you see on screen looks believable. There's
Yeah.
not a single moment in this where you're like, oh, that CGI really took me out of it. It looks great. I mean, it really, really looks great. And that is something that you got to shout out nowadays because
For
you
sure.
get so much reliance on CGI and, you know, so many times where, you know, the people that are the visual effects artists are just rushed and, you know, underpaid. So when you see something like this, like a good product, you
and
got to give it flowers.
One of my biggest gripes with, like, the Shane Black one was that there was such an overuse of CGI in that movie where I was just like, this doesn't even feel like Predator anymore. Like, come on. Because Predator has always been known for those practical effects ever
Yeah.
since the Stan Winston effects of the '87 movie. You know, like, Predator has such a, you know, cool design. I actually want to talk about, too. They actually changed the design quite a bit of the Predator in this movie, and I thought it was just perfect. Like, I like that it's a hint of something we know, but while also still being new, pretty new.
I agree. I really, really like the way the alien looks in this one, the Predator
Yeah.
looks in this one. I said the alien. Actually, the design kind of reminds me a little bit of the Xenomorph.
Really?
I mean,
Well, the
it's sort of-
helmet,
the
having no
helmet,
eyes,
and the
yeah.
no eyes or small eyes. I think you see at one point is a bit of a change, but you know we're both fans of the franchise. We can nerd out about this stuff, but going a little bit into things that were maybe not flaws, but not like perfect. It does lean into some action movie tropes now and then.
For sure.
You know, there's a scene where a character's tied up and, you know, they can't get out of being tied up. And it's like, yeah, we've seen that used to build tension so many times.
Yeah.
There's a few other things where, like, you know, the monster's about to get a kill and then they get distracted by something. So there are moments like that, but it doesn't really diminish from
Definitely
the movie
doesn't take
a whole
away
lot.
from, yeah.
And And this is an action movie
Yeah.
for action movie fans.
Yeah.
If you like action movies, don't miss this one. You're going to love it.
Honestly, for sure. Like the Predator in this movie is probably at the most badass he's been in a long time.
Long time.
Yeah. So like, I mean, awesome performance for whoever played the Predator. But yeah, the Predator is really cool in this movie, and it's just not. I don't think anyone should really miss it because it really is one of the best action movies of the year, in my opinion.
I would totally agree, and we will be back with more shortly.
In the black of night, through blue sky thinking, we thrive in green spaces. Here, we know gray most definitely matters. Even in whiteout conditions, we make things clear and sometimes strike gold. We see the world as it could be. We see the world in color. And at Syracuse University, all we see is orange.
So, another thing I thought was pretty cool about this movie is this stars a majority of main characters who are Comanche. Now, this movie takes place in, they never give you an exact date, but about the 1800s. I'm not a historian. I don't know that well. I couldn't say if, it's an accurate representation of Comanche culture at the time. But I can say as far as characters go and as far as action movie characters, it's really good to see very compelling characters and see this type of representation, especially with the history that action movies have, especially if we look at, Westerns.
Aside from the, couple Frenchmen that show up, I think the main cast is primarily Comanche people. Like, really good on the representation in this movie, honestly. Like, I was shocked. I don't think I've ever seen a movie with a Native American cast like this.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen movies that were, that were primarily indigenous people, but I've never seen like a Hollywood blockbuster like this where
More
that
a Predator
was the case,
movie,
or a
like,
Predator movie, and it works really well. And it's the kind of thing, I like to see, because it's always good, to have movies that really seek to tell you something about a different culture, or give a certain perspective. That's always good too. But a big part of representation is just having people exist too. And in a movie like this, it's not, a statement. It's just an action movie that stars Comanche people. And it's great, and it's better for it, and it's really good to see.
And I'm no expert on Comanche culture either, but I like how in the movie it kind of mirrors the Predator's culture. Like, she is trying to prove herself to her tribe. Clearly the Predator is on Earth to do the same thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I agree. I thought that storyline was really cool, and I thought it was a really great way to start her character here and have her end here.
Yeah, exactly.
I won't spoil anything.
Honestly, I want to go back to her too. Naru is like really good, up there with Dutch. Honestly, Dutch would be proud.
She really is. It's a great performance. She's awesome. I mean, acting in an action movie is hard. Yeah. It's a difficult thing to do.
I think this is the first movie Amber Midthunder's been the star of too. I'm not.
That might
totally
be true.
certain,
it's the first movie I've seen her as a star of.
Yeah,
and
she killed it.
Yeah, she really carries. She really carries this role. She has, I think, far more speaking lines than anyone else in the movie. But what makes it a good performance isn't the line delivery.
Yeah.
She's
badass.
It's the emotion. It's the physicality. It's everything
she's pretty
does.
cool.
She's really cool.
Right off the bat, I mean, you're introduced to her, like, her hunting style, and actually seeing how she changes her own hunting style throughout the movie is, like, really interesting.
Really interesting.
You usually see the Predator hunting, but you also, in this movie, see other people hunting, so,
it reminds me of something you said earlier, which is that this is a story told through action.
Yeah.
And you will see, like, the character, specifically her character development through the way she changes her tactics, through the way she innovates. You're going to pick up on things like that. But also even just small things in fight scenes, you get to see, like, creativity in the action. Creativity on the part of the Predator and of the humans, but it's very fun to watch that type of stuff.
Oh, for sure. And honestly, like, she learns the technique with her, I'm not going to ruin anything, but she learns the technique with her hatchet throughout the movie. And it's just used to such great effect later in the movie.
Cool.
Like, I just love when a movie sets something up and it just perfectly capitalizes on it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you could talk about action movie fight scenes, you could talk about brains and brawn, and, you can sometimes see action movies run into the problem.
People kind of forget to tell story through action, you know what I mean?
Tell story and to incorporate sort of, mental elements. It's not just about who can punch the hardest.
Yeah.
You like to see a fight, you like to see a mental duel too, and you get that in this, especially in the final fight scene. You get that. So there's a lot to keep you engaged. One thing we had talked about a little bit before before we got here was the score, and you
Yeah.
were saying,
Well, this is honestly, I think, the first Predator movie that doesn't use the original score from the '87 movie. Like, even like the Alien versus Predator movies, I think use it. It's like
Yeah.
crazy. It's like you can't. It's so synonymous with Predator that I feel like every filmmaker after was afraid to not use it. But thankfully, whoever composed this movie, unfortunately I don't know their name, chose to go a completely different route.
and it's great.
And it is really good. You really get that sense of the time period is perfect. The action scenes are scored so super well, and it's completely different to the energetic Arnold '87. You know, like
Completely different.
completely different. And you know, the fact that they are trying to do something new with the franchise. It seems like every other movie or every other sequel before this wasn't trying to do something new.
If any franchise needed new life, like
Yeah.
breathed into it, it was Predator. So,
Especially after that Predator, yeah.
I mean, this is a franchise-saving movie.
Yeah, for
I mean,
sure.
this is really a franchise-saving movie. Most people who see it are now, you know, before I saw this, Predator was the last thing on my mind in the year 2022.
I mean, yeah, I told you before, like,
But-
if they just keep putting the Predator in a new time period, I'm there. Like, just every movie.
Oh, I'm all
Put him
for
somewhere.
it. I want to see him
Simple
on
as
a
that.
pirate ship. I
Yeah.
want to see him in a castle. I want
Yeah,
to see.
I want to see him fight Dracula. Like,
Yeah, I'll see. If you could have the Predator
Yeah.
fight any other movie
is
monster
coming.
or character, who are you gonna have the Predator fight? It can be as ridiculous as you want.
I'm gonna go with E.T.
E-
And I'm gonna just say that only because I like an underdog story. I want to see the extraterrestrial come up with something. Maybe, you know, maybe he knows some technology the Predator
Right.
doesn't. We don't know.
We've
didn't see
only
him-
ever seen him try to phone home. We've
No,
never
he brought,
seen him.
He brought Elliot back to life. I'm just saying he's got some powers that the Predator doesn't even know about.
He definitely could. We have not seen E.T.'s violent side
Yeah,
yet, but it
we
could be
haven't.
exciting. Now, I personally would like to see the Predator versus John Wick.
Yes.
Yes. I think that would be absolutely hilarious. Now, it might upset people who are a fan of.
I just feel like the whole plot has to be he just lands on John Wick's dog by accident. Literally, he's not even hunting John Wick, and then John Wick starts hunting him, and he's like, "Oh crap, I've met my match." You know?
That's a good plot. Yeah, just an ego contest. He doesn't even need the revenge. It's
Honestly.
just, you know, there's talk of a new guy in town who's maybe stronger than John Wick, and it's the Predator. But
I think it honestly would be cool. I mean, there's so much you can do with the Predator, really. When you really think about it, it really is such a simple concept. It's just send an extraterrestrial warrior to a different planet, he hunts people. You know what I mean?
it's such a simple concept, but it works.
It works.
And it's like I wasn't excited at all for anything Predator related until someone called me up and said, "You're reviewing Prey," and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm reviewing Prey." It was great. It's great.
Happy
Yeah,
you liked it, man. I was being a Predator fan. I was excited for the movie, but still, after the fifth entry, I was just like, all right, Predator's coming out. Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. It was good. I'm so happy that it was good.
Sequel talks seem to already be in the works. We don't know exactly what it's going to be, but you know, I'd be happy if it followed the same characters.
Yeah.
And you know, they kind of at the end hint at a direction they could go with that, or if they did something completely different. You know, or you could just drop the Predator in a different timeline. Who knows? But this is good to see now. It's
Yeah.
good to see this new life.
Happy to see that you know, franchise movie finally being, you know, kind of original again. You know, like something fresh. you know?
Yeah.
That being said, what would you rate this movie out of 10?
Oh, I know we don't usually do half points on here, but
Go for it, bro.
I would go.
Be daring.
I'm gonna, because for how much I enjoyed it, 8 seems a little low, so we're gonna go with 8.5.
I also think that I'm going to give it around that area, like a 9. Really solid movie. I really think that just hones to how, it was a simple story, but it kind of just like, it worked so well with like how Naru and the Predator kind of mirror each other. That was kind of my favorite aspect of the movie. So yeah, with that, we're going to go to a quick break. See you guys soon.
That's all we got for you. Now we're going to kick it over to our on-the-spot correspondents, Gabe and Cam, who are reviewing the OG, Predator.
Hey everybody, I'm Gabe.
I'm Cameron.
And today we're reviewing Predator. Let's take a look at that trailer.
We are a rescue team, not assassins. Now, what do we gotta do?
In a part of the world where there are no rules,
We pick up their trail at the chopper, run them down, grab those hostages before anybody knows we were there. What do you mean we?
deep in the jungle, where nothing that lives is safe.
You lose it here, you're in a world of hurt. Showtime, kid. Knock, knock.
An elite rescue squad
You're bleeding, man. I ain't got time to bleed.
is being led by the ultimate warrior.
We need the best. That's why you're here.
But now,
What's got Billy so spooked?
there's something out there waiting for us. And it ain't no man. They're up against the ultimate enemy.
Holy Mother God.
Nothing like it has ever been on Earth before.
She says the jungle just came alive and took him.
We cannot see it,
No blood, no bodies. We hit nothing.
but it sees the heat of our bodies and the heat of our fear.
Whatever it is out there, it killed Hopper. And now it wants us.
It kills for pleasure.
He was skinned alive.
It hunts for sport.
He's killing us one at a time. We're all gonna die.
But this time, it's picked the wrong man to hunt.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Century Fox presents Arnold Schwarzenegger. Predator. The hunt begins Friday, June 12th at theaters everywhere.
Alright, so, Cam, Predator. Often considered one of the greatest action movies ever made.
Yeah.
What does this movie mean to you? It came out a long time ago. I'm sure I watched it with my dad for the first time.
Yeah.
I know you and Rob probably watched it together.
Yes.
So what does Predator mean to you?
Yeah, me and your good friend Rob watched
I love
it.
Rob Hinton.
Watched
What can
it.
I say?
Yeah, we watched it. I watched it with him too, and the thing I really like about Predator is that like it kind of starts off like you think it's gonna be like a cheesy action movie with like some big stars at the time, and then it kind of turns into like a kind of a slasher movie a little bit, which I'm a big fan of, and it's like. You didn't really expect that happening. You expect like all these guys to fight the Predator, but then like halfway through, it starts killing these guys one by one, like really faster than I expected. And,
Yeah, I think one of the greatest things that Predator does better than so many more action movies is the cast that's in this movie. We've got big Arnold Schwarzenegger, my celebrity lookalike, as our main character. We've got Carl Weathers, who's, he's one of Schwarzenegger's best friends. Shane Black, who directed that god-awful 2016 Predator that we don't have to talk about. And then we've got professional wrestling legend Jesse Ventura, governor of Minnesota at one point.
And Arnold was the governor of California.
Oh my god, the governors together and making such an excellent film. And so just the charisma and the relationship and chemistry these actors have on screen together. There are some genuine comedic moments in this film.
Yeah.
Before the bodies start dropping, like it's actually a decently funny movie.
Yeah.
A lot of memes have come from this. But just the casting of this movie is excellent. Now, another thing is just the action in this movie. Especially that fight in the mud. What are your kind of takes on the action and some maybe your favorite moments from it?
Oh, I loved it. It's just like, honestly, it's tough to find a favorite moment. But I'd probably have to say it's not really like an action moment, but it's when Bill Duke, the guy who plays I forgot his name, but he was the best friend of Jesse the Body Ventura. And when he's like crawling under the log, and the Predator gets him, and he sees like the lay on his head. I love the gore effects in that scene.
Yeah.
Probably my favorite like action-ish moment of the film.
Yeah, this movie came out, I would say, almost 40 years ago, and completely holds up visually. It doesn't look bad, and frankly, it honestly looks a lot better than like Predators 2 with Danny Glover or Predators with Adrian Brody. So it's like I think this movie is just a standout. Kind of something that people don't really talk about this movie is the score. this movie has some excellent sound design, especially when, we got some Y cuts and L cuts. Before we start seeing people killed, we start hearing them. In movies in general, I don't think sound design gets enough respect. So kind of how would you say it shapes this movie, especially because we don't see the Predator on screen for a while. So how does that sound design kind of build his character, build the suspense without showing him?
It's like when you see the movie and like you hear like all like these clicking noises from the Predator, you're like, what the hell is going on? Like, what the hell is this? My one problem with the movie actually is that they show like the spaceship dropping the Predator onto Earth at the beginning. I think it would have been better if they just didn't show it at all, and you're like, what's going on right now? Like, who's this? What's this thing like following them, making all these weird noises, looking at them in like ultraviolet rays and stuff?
Yeah, I think that the sound, because like I said, we hear him before we see him for a long time. Fun fact, those clicks were done by the guy who played Optimus Prime in the original Transformers cartoon show.
What a fun fact.
That is a great fact. And so I think it really builds the fact that, okay, we know whatever this creature is, it's not from this planet, and it's a menace. Like, we hear the clicks. Kind of speaking about that laugh, that ending scene.
Yeah.
The Predator, spoilers, but the movie's 40 years old, so if you haven't seen it, like, what are you doing? It sets off this bomb, and we hear this threatening, creepy-ass laugh.
Yeah, that he recorded from Billy, one of those soldiers who had died.
And so this like terrifying laugh really builds his character, because we realize that for the Predator, this is just a game. Like, these people are in the fight of their life against this alien. They can't see it. It's hunting them down. And for the Predator, this is nothing but target practice. And so I think there's so many excellent ways they develop and build this character, which kind of leads to my biggest issue of the film. Arnold Schwarzenegger, no character development in this film. Like, he gets creative in the mud fight, sure, but creativity does not count as character development. And so I feel like Dutch, like, he's Arnold. He plays the same version that Arnold was in Commando. He's almost Arnold in the Terminator. And so at no point am I ever worried that he's not going to defeat this Predator. You kind of, do you feel that same way?
I can see that, but like, I feel like you're not really watching the movie to see Arnold grow as a person. I think you're seeing the movie to watch Arnold kick some ass.
That's a completely fair point, and I guess, yes, in action movies you're not really looking for that level of character development, but I feel like just judging it as a film, this movie isn't perfect. I'll say that, but
disagree.
It's okay. I'm not gonna say this is a perfect film, but like I said, it's got some stellar moments. It's got amazing charisma behind these actors. And just the way this film is shot, like we said, some of the kills in it are fantastic. It kind of walks that line between horror and action. So we've pointed out the pros. I pointed out my cons. On a scale from 1 to 10, what are you ranking The Predator?
I'd probably give it a 10 out of 10. Unlike Mr. Ebert here, I think this movie does what it's supposed to do. I'm not going in to watch Predator to watch like The Godfather. I'm watching probably one of the best action movies of all time.
Yeah.
And it does what it needs to do.
So, cop-out answer, I'm going to say it's a 10 out of 10 action movie, but just as a movie itself, I'm still giving it an 8 out of 10. Genuinely one of my favorite, most enjoyable movies, and I have seen it probably over 10 times, and every time I watch it, it's still fun. But with that, let's go on back to the studio.
Thanks for that, guys. We'll be right back after this break. That's all for this week. If you want to follow more Review Crew content, go to the Review Crew Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, as well as the Orange TV Network on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, and YouTube.
Find the Review Q's podcast on Spotify or on our website at orangetvnetwork.syr.edu, where you can also find our blog and more OTN information.
And be sure to check out this week's screening hosted by University Union, Pixar's Turning Red.
See you next time.